everybody, we're on part 2 of the Cocoon dress and I'm just cutting out the paper pattern pieces. Right, so now let me just show you this part that I'm on. I have a series of lines all merged together coming up from the neckline. Now, it doesn't tell me what size is 14, but because I've been following the dots, I know it's this narrow dot here. The other thing I could do is go 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. I'm following it up, but when I do that, it doesn't actually do that. It's 6, 8, 10, 12, and 14 is actually the widest dot. 14, 16, 18, 20. So somewhere they've gone wrong. 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. They've actually gone wrong. 14, 16, 18, 20. Okay, so I haven't recorded it, but in the end I ended up cutting this line for the 14, but it looks like it's the 12. So, again, a beginner wouldn't have known to check that pattern to make sure everything was correct. So it is very important to do that. And if you do get an issue with that, go with your gut instinct. Or, you know, we've got the magic of social media now. You can go onto social media and just ask people for advice. So many people are so willing to give their thoughts and ideas on something. So if you're stuck and you're not sure, ask. There's bound to be something, and it doesn't matter what time of day or night. Somebody somewhere is awake and ready to respond to your needs. And people love helping, and that's what I found about social media. People are just so ready and willing to support anybody who needs any help. So don't be frightened of asking. There's a lovely community out there, and I think anybody who sews is bound to be a lovely person. So there you go. Right, so here we are with our fabric. Now I'm going to make some time to actually make sure it's all even and smooth. I have not pre-washed it. People do like to pre-wash their fabric. This is fine for me. I don't think anything. This is a good quality fabric. I know it's not going to shrink. If you do feel a bit nervous about it, I know it's not going to shrink because I've used it in a different project. But if you are nervous about fabric, the pattern actually recommends that you pre-wash. And I think it's mainly because nowadays fabric is so badly made that you get such cheap quality of fabric that it's a loose weave and it shrinks. I've never pre-washed fabrics before, but I am finding recently that clothes, once I've made them, do shrink, and we just need to take care to pre-wash our fabrics now, which is such a shame. It just shows how little people now, the global economy is such a state that people don't care about the quality of things. So you've got to pre-wash the fabric. Like I said, this one isn't. Now, because this is a 60 wide, I can actually not follow the layout. The important parts of the layout of the fabric are to make sure that I am fitting everything on here. Now, this piece tells me to lay on the fold. Now, I folded the fabric over, so I've got selvage to selvage. The selvage is that fluffy side, the woven side, can you see? And this is where the lady in the shop cut my fabric. So it's come off the roll with this selvage like that. So I'm going to lay my fabric on the fold there, and that will give me one piece. Now I said on the front I was going to leave the front piece on the fold. I have no idea why they've not done that on this pattern, because I don't think I really want to have to match a seam down the front of my dress. I just think it looked ridiculous. So I'm going to be a bit clever here. And looking at this pattern piece, and when you cut it out, you'll notice that's bang straight There's no curves, there's nothing to indicate that it's going to be shaped to accommodate any sort of figure. So what I'm going to do is relay my fabric to the way I want my dress so that I don't have a centre seam on the front or the back. We've got our fold and our selvages. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the fold into the middle of the table, and I'm going to fold like a card inwards into that fold. So let's put that fold into the middle of the table, bring the two selvages to that fold and lay the fabric like that. Now I know I said at the beginning I was not going to make adjustments to this pattern, but as I follow it I'm getting more and more frustrated by the pattern designer's errors. And being a long time sewer and having the experience and knowledge to know better, I'm not going to do it anymore. I don't want to waste this lovely fabric, and I have spent good money on it, and I refuse. Sorry guys, so if you followed it the other way, that's fine, but if you want to make yourself another one and don't want the hassle of a centre front seam, so a seam going all the way down the bottom, do it this way. So iron your pattern pieces, but if you like me and don't care enough, and on the one hand I do care, on the other hand I'm not showing any sort of care, I'm going to place the other piece on there. Now it's going upside down, and that doesn't matter because it's a symmetry. It's a symmetrical pattern. When it opens up, it will open up symmetrical. So it doesn't matter if it's upside down or the right way up or whichever way. But what is important is to make sure the patterns are flowing the same way. If I put that piece like this, what I'll find is the orange, red, purple, blue, green, orange, red, purple, green will not match that way. So I'll have it flipped upside down. So my it will start on the back, it will go red, orange, green, blue, purple, but then on the front it will actually go purple, blue, green, orange, red, and I don't really want that. So I'm going to put them both the right way, coming down the fabric that way. So I am going to have the design that way, and I'm going to match my shoulder at the top of, let's see, can I put it on the top of the orange? I'm going to put it on the top of the orange. I'm going to put it on the top of the orange there, and that way it will be symmetrical all the way down, and if it comes to the bottom of the orange there, it should in theory come to the bottom of the orange there. So that is one way of pattern matching, so that when these notches come together, that's the centre of the green, that's the centre of the green, that's the centre of the red. They will match together on my sides, and everybody will be so impressed, and I will love it. So let's pin that down. So see these arrows here, these are to be lined up equally from the selvage. So I've got to make sure that whatever distance that tip of that arrow is at the top, it's 9.5 there. I've got to make sure it's 9.5 there. I can actually have my sleeve after all on this piece, and it's just being really clever with how I lay my fabric out. So I could have saved myself a lot of fabric there. So 1.3 metres, not 1.3 metres, I'm using less fabric than I anticipated to get this project done. So actually what I am going to do now is just follow this pattern route. So we've got 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. So I'm just going to follow this sleeve round and not make it sleeveless after all. So the sleeve can sit there, you see, and even though it's going over the fold, what I'll do is when I've cut that long piece out, I have this fabric cut along there, which I can do now. So I can move that out of the way for the moment. And I know that's going to be fine and cut out. What I can do then is move this piece over slightly, and then I've got two sleeves going onto my pattern piece, going onto two layers of fabric there. Got big ones there. Let's get that lump out. Move it over a bit more. Make sure all my squares are lined up, so I've got nice straight sleeves. I'm going to sit that there, make sure it's plenty of space, and just pin that down. I've got two pockets there. I've got front facing there, and I've got my back facing there. And we've measured, making sure our arrows are lined up, the tip of the arrow lined up with my selvage there. Make sure that's lined up. And I've got my roller, and I'm just going to walk my fingers along, pressing down my fabric as I push away with my rotary cutter and catch any bits there. So walking, walking, walking. When you get to a corner, take care. And this blade needs replacing. Just walk, 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 keeping that steady. And just down. And this is so much quicker than scissors. There we go. So top tip about your facing is you're going to put interfacing on them to give it the structure that you need. So grab your interfacing, make sure you've got two layers, and because it doesn't matter which way it is, make sure you do though put your fold on your fold, put your pattern piece, you can put it on either the top or the bottom. Just make sure you've got plenty of fabric though. I'm going to just check underneath I do. And just pin that down. Let it go naturally, whichever way, direction it wants to. And then we're going to cut that out. So we've cut in one go our interfacing with our fabric, and we're going to do the same on this piece here as well. Flip on that round and just cut one piece at a time. So if I come down there, put one piece out of the way and work on one piece at a time. And follow that carefully round. And let's see what happens with this. Okay, so let's just check all our pieces are done. We've got piece one. We have our piece two. Back. We have our piece three, which is our sleeve. Four, that's our facing. Five, our facing. Finally our pocket six. So now we've cut it all out, let's mark all our pieces.